Commissioner Colleen?
Was that me? Colleen's here. Was that me?
That was me.
Oh, sorry, Dave.
Commissioner Kaznizik?
Good morning, I'm here.
Yeah, that's you.
Commissioner Clark Coleman? Commissioner Clark Coleman? You're on mute.
Here.
Commissioner Dobb?
Here.
Chair Basham?
Here.
You have a quorum present.
Next item.
Item B, approval of the June 10th, 2020 meeting minutes.
So
Colleen,
moved.
Mr. Yeah, I'll support Commissioner Dobb. Colleen.
Would you like a roll call vote, Commissioner Basham?
I don't think we need a roll call vote.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. Next item.
Item C, old business, there is none. Moving to D, item D1, new business, communication forwarding a final copy of the Office of Legislative Auditor General's Financial Assessment Limited Review Report for the Wayne County Land Bank Corporation's audit financial statements for the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2019.
I'd like to acknowledge the Auditor General, her staff, and her guests.
Staff that are trying to get in right now and they're not able to.
I've just let them in.
Okay.
Welcome, Ms. Coral.
What you have, I'm not sure my auditors are on here yet. Tequila, are you on? No. The mic's not on either. I can get started with it though. I have the presentation.
Okay, 1 second, Marcia, I'll display it for you.
Okay, let me see.
Is this it here?
Yes, that's it right there. Okay, what you have before you today, this is a land bank financial assessment for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2019. The auditors by Moran sent the report to M&B, and this is our presentation. This is where we take the financial statements and we kind of put them in layman terms so you understand what is going on with the land bank. We have invited guest Cheryl Jordan. I'm not sure if she's on. Looks like none of our invited guests are on. Okay, I'm just going to get started with the presentation. Then we can have questions at the end, and hopefully by that time we have our auditees are on. Starting on page 1, the introduction. The Office of Legislative Auditor General received the Wayne County Land Bank Financial Report, including audited financial statements for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2019. Because we have performed a more extensive financial review of the land bank's financial statement in the past few years, we elected to conduct a limited review of the financial reports for the fiscal year ended. On page 2, background, the land bank acquires, manages, and disposes of public tax reverted property to foster development and promote economic growth. The land bank also sells abandoned properties and collaborates with nonprofit organizations and developers to promote new economic development within Wayne County. The land bank for financial reporting purposes is classified as a discretely presented component unit of the county in accordance with generally accepted accounting principle. A discretely presented component unit is legally separate entity from the county, however the county is financially accountable. The Land Bank Corporation's governing board consists of 5 members. The Wayne County Treasurer or his designee is a chairperson. 3 members are appointed by the Wayne County Executive. 1 member is appointed by the Wayne County Commission, and the land bank is managed by an executive director selected by the board of directors. Recently, the executive director was Daniel Rosenbaum. He left around the beginning of June. I believe Cheryl Jordan is the acting executive director right now. We're going to move on to page 3, the external auditors report and letters. The Land Bank Corporation received an unqualified opinion on the audited financial statements for the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2019 from Plant and Moran, the external auditors for Wayne County. An unqualified opinion is issued when the external auditor concludes that the financial statements taken as a whole are presented fairly in accordance with GAAP. This is good for the land bank because in the prior fiscal year, they had a disclaimer of opinion. So we're moving in the right direction. Plan Moran also provided a report on internal controls over financial reporting and on compliance and other matters. The report identified 2 deficiencies in internal controls that are considered material weaknesses. We're going to move on to page 3, financial results and operations. The assets of the land bank exceeded its liabilities by over $9 million, with a total net position as of September 30th, 2019. For fiscal year 2019, the land bank's program revenues are primarily comprised of operating grants and contributions and charges for services totaling $7.4 million, an increase of $5.2 million or over 239%. The increase is due to revenue generated from the acquisition of the property located at 511 Woodward. Total program expenses decreased by $2.1 million in fiscal year 2008 to $1.9 million in fiscal year 2019. The land bank's general fund ending balance for fiscal year 2019 was $9 million, an increase of 5.5 from the prior year. With the exception of the $4.9 million in non-spendable funds assigned for inventory and prepaid expenses, the remaining governmental fund balance of $4 million is unassigned and available for spending at the land bank's discretion. Now we're going to move on to page 4 of the financial report on internal controls and compliance. The first finding, 2019-001, was a material weakness. The external auditors determined that the land bank did not have proper procedures in place to ensure that the general ledger was properly stated in accordance with GAAP, which is generally accepted accounting principles. During the audit, material journal entries totaling approximately $4.68 million were identified, which required the land bank to correct its general ledger.
Can I stop you right there on
Sure.
material witness? So has the administration dealt with that issue specifically?
I'm sorry?
Has the administration dealt with that issue specifically?
Is somebody
Finding-
from the land bank on that could answer this question?
Yeah, good morning, commissioners.
I'm sorry.
This is Cheryl Jordan. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Basham, I believe that 4.68 million was actually the issue after the Pinnacle sale was, I believe, and I have to check. But
I believe you're correct.
yeah, so it was a matter of when the funds were paid versus what year they got it on their ledger, and so that was corrected.
So
And if
my
I could
question-
add,
go ahead.
if I could add to this too, I think one of the issues that the external auditor had is when the land bank has some of these extensive transactions, maybe if they could get with the auditors beforehand and we can get these transactions worked out so that we don't have the issues for the journal entries. I think that may help in the future. These are just complex transactions that I don't think the land bank has all the time. Just occasionally they have these complex transactions. So I believe we have a resolution to this finding.
Great. Thank you.
Continue.
Please proceed.
Yep. Finding number 2, the external auditors determined that land bank did not have a process to appropriately record an investment position held with Wayne County, which resulted in material adjustments being made to the general ledger, including a significant write-down of the asset balance. I believe management at land bank is working on this issue too, so we don't have these issues in the future. Right? Moving
Good.
on.
Yep.
Subsequent event note 6. This relates to the COVID-19. The United States and Michigan declared a state of emergency. The financial impact on the COVID-19 will impact subsequent periods of the land bank. The impact on the financial position cannot be estimated at this time. And in conclusion, based on our limited review, nothing came to our attention that caused us to believe that the Wayne County Land Bank Corporation's audited financial statements are not presented in conformity with generally accepted accounting principles. And it's our recommendation that the report be forwarded to the Wayne County Commission for receiving and filing. That concludes the presentation for the land bank. Do we have any questions regarding land bank?
Mr. Chair, Colleen? I'm sorry, Melissa.
No, you go
Commissioner
ahead.
Go ahead, Commissioner. Sorry.
And I'm not sure whether the hand raise thing on Zoom is working. Do you see him?
I didn't see
Chair?
him. I didn't see
But-
him.
But do you see him? If
Yeah.
I did. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Cora, I'm going to make a request that I've made before, especially for these audits of component units. Can we add in your introduction not only how many people on the board, but who they are, who they were appointed by, and the expiration date of their term?
Okay.
I would like to see that basic information on reports. I'm also going to ask you, Ms. Cora, on the scale of venial sin to mortal sin, where do you put a material weakness?
It's at the
Just to
highest.
remind us.
It's the highest level.
On 2019-02, haven't we seen this before in the audits of the land bank? The question of valuation of property, if I'm reading this correct?
Yes, valuation of property has been an issue in the last couple of financial statement reports. And it relates to the properties that are coming in from the treasurer's office that cannot be sold, that are not sold at the final auction, so they're sent over to the land bank. There
Right.
was some determination how they would be valued, but then there's probably a couple properties that wouldn't fall within what the auditors recommended for valuation, so it probably deals with that.
Is there a resolution on the horizon? I guess I'll ask Ms. Jordan. How much of an issue is this, Ms. Jordan? And is there, I know there's complications here, but are we able to get a resolution to the valuation question?
Yeah, I believe staff has been working on that. We have 2 staff dedicated to inventory of properties at the land bank. So I believe, and I will get a better answer for you on what exactly has been done. But I do believe that efforts have been made to try to place a value on the properties that we hold. You're right. The problem that we have with that is, you know, what's the value of a property that couldn't even be given away for free to a city, you know, after
Right,
they
right.
at the auction. But certainly we want our audits to look as nice as possible, and we want to have a proper valuation. So I do believe Daniel Rosenbaum, before he left, was working diligently on that issue, and I'm going to double check in and see where we are with that, because I know he was working on that. He did report that to me. So I don't know the final say. And again, you know, properties going in and out every year. We sell our side lots for $250. So it's not like these are, you know, very valuable properties that we're holding, but yet they do have some value, and we are trying to assign that.
Thank you for that answer, Ms. Jordan, because in addition to the concern, and by the way, congratulations on a clean audit. But when you have a finding like this in your audit, and of course, land banks get a lot of scrutiny out there. Wayne County's, Detroit's, Flint's, everybody's land banks get scrutiny. And indeed, we don't want to necessarily have findings like this, but we also don't want it that it could be misinterpreted in the public, right? The audit says, you know, they're not keeping track of the value of their property. And that can go many different ways then in the current political environment. You might even be asked on a talk show on CNN or something to explain it. So I'm hoping we have a resolution to that. I do understand the complications, and I have been patient with it because of those complications. And now we have a change in leadership over there. So, well, I'm looking forward to next year's audit. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to move on to the next one. I do have 2 auditors, though, that said they're still trying to get in, but I'm just going to go ahead.
Okay,
We're moving on to the Wayne County Building Authority. Page 1, the introduction. The Office of Legislative Auditor General received the Wayne County Building Authority's financial report, including audited financial statements for the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2019, which is in accordance with Wayne County Ordinance 9859. Background on page 2. The authority was created in 1961 under provisions of the State of Michigan Public Act 31, Extra Session 1948 as amended. The authority was established to provide for the acquisition, furnishing, equipping, owning, improvement, enlarging, operation, and maintenance of buildings and building sites for at least two, and eventual ownership by the county. This includes recreational facilities, stadiums, parking lots, and other structures. The authority is governed by a 5-member board in which members serve a 5-year term. The county executive, subject to approval by the Wayne County Commission, appoints the board members. The authority's administrative functions are managed by officials within the Department of Management and Budget. The authority is a blended component unit of the Charter County of Wayne. Blended component units are legally separate entities from the county, but because they provide services exclusively for the benefit of the county, their financial operations are combined into primary governmental operations for reporting purposes, in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Page 2, the external auditor's report. Client Moran, the independent external auditors, say that the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects, the financial position of the Wayne County Building Authority as of September 30th, 2019. This type of opinion is issued by the auditor when the financial statements are free of material misstatements and represented fairly in accordance with GAAP. Is the best type of opinion an entity may receive from the external auditors. Now we're going to move on to the financial results. Page 2. The authority's financial operations are accounted for in 3 types of governmental funds. General operating fund. This fund accounts for all financial resources and expenditures except those accounted for and reported in another fund. Number 2, the debt service fund. This fund is used to account for and report financial resources that are restricted, committed, or assigned to expenditures for principal and interest. Capital projects fund. This fund is used to account for and report financial resources that are restricted, committed, or assigned to expenditure for capital outlays, including for the acquisition or construction of capital facilities. Moving on to the bottom, the building authority net position increased by $215,000 in fiscal year 2019. This change is primarily the result of the change in total assets exceeding the change in total liabilities. As of September 30th, 2019, the authority's total governmental fund balance was $10.1 million, a decrease of $8.3 million from the prior year. A significant portion of the fund balance is restricted to indicate it is not available for new spending because it's already been committed to the pay the debt service, which is $8.2 million. Program activities of $1.1 million and capital improvement expenditures about $776,000. Budgetary information on page 3. The Wayne County Building Authority did not prepare a budget for years ended September 30th, 2019 or 2018. Annual budget should be adopted on a basis consistent with generally accepted accounting principles and state law for general fund and all special revenue fund. State law requires the authority to have its budget in place by October 1st. Expenditures in excessive amounts budgeted are in violation of Michigan law. State law permits entities to amend their budget during the year. Page 3, potential risk exposures. At the end of 2019, the Wayne County Building Authority had bond debt outstanding of $193.9 million, which was a decrease of about $7.5 million from the prior year's amount of $201 million. The decrease was a result to principal and interest payments on the outstanding bonds. These outstanding bonds are paid by the authority solely from rental payments received from the county. The county has pledged its full faith and credit for the outstanding bond obligations of the authority. And in conclusion, based on our limited review, nothing came to our attention that caused us to believe that the Wayne County Building Authority's audited financial statements are not presented in conformity with generally accepted accounting principles. It is a recommendation this report be forwarded to the Wayne County Commission for receiving and filing. And just so you know, both of these financial assessments do have the financial statements attached to them, but the official financial statements should be coming to the commission. So once we receive them, we can just forward those on to the whole board. And that concludes my presentation.
Any commissioners?
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Dobb, Commissioner Dobb.
thank you. And I'm not sure if there's anyone from the building authority on the call today, but I'm wondering why a budget has not been prepared.
Does somebody, Cheryl, you want to respond to that?
I wish I could respond to that, Commissioner. I'm really not connected with the building authority at all. Andy Kandrivas said Daryl Jones is here. He's from our buildings department.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know if he's attends the meetings. My limited knowledge of building authority has a lot to do with some of the state buildings that were there's a Hamtramck building that was built for the state, and the building authority funded it, and then we collect lease payments from them for it, and I believe that's what you see where the some of the principal and interest had been paid down. But I unfortunately, I'm very sorry to say I don't know who the building authority board members are.
Do we have anyone from management and budget on the call today?
I was looking and I didn't see anybody.
Okay.
But I don't know who the
Because
phone numbers
I
are.
guess that was my follow-up question was if anyone from management and budget could prepare the budget for the building authority.
Hello? Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone here can hear me, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I had to put the *69. This is Daryl Jones. How you doing?
Good.
Okay. So what? Basically, actually, I am on the building authority. Actually, I started that back in October. So, and we've had maybe 2 meetings prior to that. So, as far as any accountability, as far as documentation that's being set in place, we have yet got to that, and I don't have a real excuse why we haven't did that. It's just that I've come late to the game, and we'll just try to figure that out for you and see if I can get some information for you.
So through the chair,
Yes.
this is Felicia. So the executive staff does staff the building authority. So generally at their meetings, you'll have someone from Corp Council, you'll have someone from M&B, and I cannot remember the young lady's name who does all the agendas for them, but the administration does staff them. So they do have staff assigned, unless this has changed within recent months, but historically, the administration has staffed them. So there should be someone from M&B, though they're not on this call, and someone else, and I'm not sure where she's housed, who actually handle all the paperwork and process all these matters for the building authority.
I think that's on.
Yes.
I'm speaking
Go
on
ahead.
the call. Hi, can you all hear me?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I was muted before. I am on the call, but I am focused for the grant and grant compliance. The budget on that end, I do believe, is Wanda Taylor, who handles budget and the financials for the building authority.
And she may be on that call. I don't know, Wanda, if you're on there. *69, I believe, is in order to unmute your phone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, this is Wanda Taylor.
Okay.
Okay, so the budget, that was just something that was overlooked this year, last year. I just got the building authority as far as the budget goes. And also we did prepare a budget, but because we didn't have a board meeting for the board to adopt the budget, that's actually what happened.
So, okay, let me give
So
you
we just
some.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, let me share some history so that we can not avoid it in the future. The last building authority we had with the previous jail and the previous administration were not meeting. The treasurer for Wayne County at the time was getting the bills and paying the checks. And then we had a major catastrophe in Wayne County with the previous administration, previous building authority as a result of not meeting. So I don't want to see us go down that road again. So whatever we need to do to fix it, we need to do to fix it, because and what I'm hearing folks say is I'm new to the authority, they're not meeting, those sorts of things, and the little flags keep popping up all over the place. and I don't think anything's intentional, but I'm just saying that what we need to do is, as a county, is to make sure we don't do what happened under the Cano administration. I couldn't be more blunt. So I guess Ms. Cora is I guess, are the parts in place so that this doesn't happen? Or what can we do to make sure it doesn't happen, working with the building authority administration?
I think that would be the right step, start work with the building authority. I can also talk to Matthew Dubay and see if they can make sure, but I guess they would need the meetings to approve a budget, but we got to make sure that the budget is approved every year.
So do we need special meetings to make sure this is happening, or just by?
For the no, I think the building authority just at their meeting would have to approve the budget.
Okay. And somebody from the building authority, they're okay with that?
Not a problem.
Okay, I'm hearing them say no problem. That means they're okay with it, I think. And so, what else is there? Is there more questions or comments from commission members or staff?
Mr. Chair, I'm seeing in the chat that they need, the commission staff needs the people who were speaking from the building authority to identify themselves for the record.
That would be Daryl Jones.
Okay.
Title,
And
sir?
How you doing?
Title, Daryl?
Building director of buildings. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I was writing there.
Okay.
Director of buildings and economic department.
Okay.
I think what they were asking for was the lady that spoke after Daryl Jones.
Was
Her
that
name-
Shantika?
Her name and title.
Was that Shantika? I think I heard her voice.
Hi, you did hear Tika, and I am the Director of Grants and Contracts in M&B.
Okay.
And also, I'm Wanda Taylor, and I'm with M&D.
Okay. Anything further, Commissioner Don?
No, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, this is Mark Abel. Could I ask a question of someone from Building Authority or Cheryl Jordan?
Sure, please proceed.
Sure.
Thank you. And through the chair, Cheryl, I know that the outstanding debt of the Building Authority is primarily the 2010 jail bonds, and my understanding is that they are callable, and the interest rate on them is significantly higher than the most recent bond issue the county had, which was the recent jail bond issue, by several full percentage points. Do you know what the plans are regarding that debt issuance? Are they going to be called?
Mark, I don't know the answer to that. I'm not sure, maybe if Wanda knows, but I've written down your question and I will certainly get an answer for you.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yep.
Maybe recall.
Anything further?
Yeah, Colleen, Mr. Chair.
Please proceed, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. To Auditor General Cora, how many years now we've been looking at this no budget item in our reports? It seems to me it's 3 or 4 years this has been raised.
For sure, it's been 2018 and 2019, but I believe it does go back further.
And
I can find out exactly how far it goes back by looking at all
well,
the
that's okay.
prior-
It's been on here for a while.
Yes.
Right? I'd hate to write a resolution from the commission and send it over to the Building Authority Board to say pass a budget. That's a state law requirement, isn't it, that a budget is passed?
Yes.
So, you know, we heard, you know, they weren't meeting, so they had the budget ready, but they didn't meet. Another reason why I'd like to see a list of all the board members and who appointed them and when their terms expire. And then I believe it was Mr. Taylor that identified himself as the boss of the Buildings Authority. Is that I forget the gentleman's name. But the question I want to ask, and of course it's not on this report, I'd like to get a list of the properties that the building authority is currently managing and enlarging and maintenance and equipping and all that kind of stuff. Is that a pretty easy list for availability?
Commissioner Clean, it's been difficult, and I'll be honest with you. A lot of the stuff is that we haven't determined yet how many buildings actually were sold and actually what's revenue. Some buildings are leased, and then we do have some buildings that we maintain and own. And that has been very difficult to compare a list from what we've had so far. A lot of this has to do with the changes that have been made from the DPS department. As you know, it was a split a few years ago, and that's what we're trying to determine what buildings are actually owned by us and which buildings that we actually service at the same time.
Yeah, that's not a good situation. If you don't have a list of what you're responsible for.
I'm sorry, I do have a list, right, but what we've been doing is going through that list, and some of the buildings we found out that were actually just like 600 Randolph. Well, that building is actually sold. It's still on our list as far as necessarily indicating to us.
Right. Again, I think as a public body, we need to have, updated lists and that we can pull it out and say, this is what it is. But that's another issue. And it's not for this audit because this was, ending at the end of the fiscal year last year. And I don't want to get into exact dollars, but has there been a financial impact on the building authority with all the maintenance and everything you have to do and building management when it comes to COVID? Have you been spending a lot more money this year?
We have spent some money, and basically it's been for basically deep cleaning of buildings, such as like the juvenile detention center and the jails divisions. We've spent some money in courts as well.
Do you have any, have you gotten any CARES money for that? Where are you financially in your ability to keep that up in case we got to do it another 6-7 months here?
Well, right now we are in the process of retaining money. We have had some money that we were trying to allocate towards the CARES Foundation that hasn't been approved yet. Of course, we're scrutinizing, making sure that we're in guidelines of what it's for what it represents, as far as making sure that we are using the money in the correct method. There were some emergency purchase orders that were actually processed through my department for the deep cleaning of certain individual locations. And speaking of JDF alone, that we actually have deep cleaning up to that facility at least 2 times out of the week. And that's being processed up until September so far.
I can't imagine that's cheap to get a contractor out to do that. What is your level of concern for having enough funding to deal with COVID through this fiscal year?
Well, it's going to be primarily what's allocated first is what's the main priorities. And I keep mentioning JDF because that's where the youth detentions are as far as we retain them there. And that's the top priority. And it's only been on my list as far as that issue right now.
Yeah, because again, highly sensitive, criminal justice, and the reports of COVIDs in jails and juvenile detention facilities around the country. But I'll just ask one more time, and I'll ask it this way. As we sit here today, do you think you have enough money, and I won't say in the budget, but do you have enough money to carry you to cover the COVID expenses, or are you going to need additional dollars allocated in next year's budget?
If this continues, I believe that we probably may need additional money to carry forth. And I can probably put a spreadsheet together and give more of a, exactly where we're headed.
I'll probably ask you about it at budget hearings, sir.
I'm sure you will.
When we have, and you'll have a little more time to estimate your costs or whatnot. But yeah, when we pass the budget going forward next year, I want to make sure you've got the money you need. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Anything further?
No, we're finished with our presentation.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
I
Support,
support Commissioner
Dob.
Clark. Yeah, it's not me. It's Dob.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item 2, communication, forwarding a copy of the Office of Registrar Auditor General's Financial Assessment Limited Review Report for the Wayne County Building Authority's audited financial statements for the fiscal year ended September 30th.
Okay.
We just did that one, Mr. Chair, unless I'm in a different meeting.
No, you're not. You're not.
Yeah, it could be. You never know.
The first one was the land bank. And the
Hard to
second,
do.
This is for the approval of the building authority. We did both presentations.
Right.
yes.
So I'll move item D2 for receive and file and forwarding to the commission.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there support?
I'll support Dob.
Okay, you're supporting Dob, but you support the motion. Okay, thank you. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item E, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
There are none, and you did a great job.
Thank you. Item F, public comments.
Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment? Can we unmute the phones? Anybody from the public that would like to comment? Second time. Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment? Okay, next item, Madam Clerk.
Adjournment.
Is there a motion to adjourn this? meeting?
Move, approve. Well, I move to adjourn.
You want to move to approve to adjourn?
Yeah, I want
Okay.
to move to approve to adjourn,
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
I won't repeat it, but all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.